guys, it's Amy Mahjoory, best-selling author of Networking with a Purpose. I'm really excited to be here with you guys today. I'm on my way to head over to meet with a great friend of mine, Josh Ingalls, who is a best-selling author and an international speaker, because he is going to interview me on my book. So I'm excited to share some of my strategic networking systems and tools with you. Let's get started.
Hey Amy, how's it going?
Hey, good, how are you?
Oh, awesome. I've just finished reading your book. I'm really excited to interview you to learn more.
Thank you, I'm so glad you're here. I've got everything set upstairs if you want to head inside.
Awesome,
okay,
let's go.
Perfect.
Hey, what's going on everybody? This is Joshua Ingalls and I'm really excited. I have Amy Mahjoory here with me for this awesome interview. If you don't know Amy, she's been featured on HGTV. She has amazing systems. She typically lives in San Diego for half the year, and yet she's running jobs here in Chicago. She's got an amazing team, and she's raised millions of dollars. This has all been accomplished through strategic networking, which is her book, which is being launched today. I was lucky enough to get my hands on it before the public and read it last night. So Amy, thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you for joining me. I'm really excited to be here with you today and share my story with you guys. And I'm confident you guys are going to get a lot out of this. So as we go through the interview, I'm going to be sure to sprinkle in bits and pieces of my networking systems and strategies with you guys.
Awesome. So just kick us off by sharing your background.
Yeah, my background is very traditional. You know, just like most of you, I was working for someone else, and I worked a corporate job for the first 14 years of my career. And I broke into real estate in about 2014, and I had no experience. I come from a very tight family, so it was very common for us to stay in that secure and stable job, right, until you retire. But I went ahead and I found some mentors and coaches and a really good sounding board for me. And in just that first year, I was able to build my power team and buy and renovate and sell 10 homes while still working a full-time job, all through strategic networking.
Yeah, because you were working full-time at Dell, if I remember from the book.
Yeah, I was at Dell for 14 years.
And you did 10 deals with a full-time job.
Yes. You know, what I do in the book is I basically introduce some everyday concepts that people don't even realize are around you. And I talk about the importance of making a strategic mindset shift to integrate networking into your day-to-day lifestyle. So even though I was working a full-time job, 40 hours a week, I was able to outsource so much of my business by just leveraging off the resources around me and building those relationships.
Yeah, that's incredible, because I know, I mean, even some full-time investors that are doing like around 10. So being able to do 10 while working a full-time job is just incredible. And that's why I like that you wrote this book, because you're kind of giving an inside look, inside peek on how you did that. So what's been your key to success?
You know, one of the biggest keys to success for me is working smarter and not harder. Mm-hmm. And that really goes back to surrounding yourself with like-minded people, surrounding yourself with people who are on the same mission as you, and just trying to leverage from some of the common lessons learned out there, regardless of whether or not it's in your personal life or your professional life, in order to minimize those as you start to grow and develop and ramp up your own business or try to achieve your own goals. So I would say just being more strategic with your time and figuring out what's the highest and best use of your time. And if there are ways for you to strategically outsource, then start to figure out how you could do that.
Yeah, I love in the book the fact that you talk about that, because it's like, how in the world can you work a full-time job and yet do 10 deals? And you talk about it in your book. It's like, make a list of everything you're doing in the day and then start outsourcing it to like a VA, which you talk about that in your book. So pretty cool. So why did you write the book?
You know, I wrote the book because I never saw myself as a business owner. I never saw myself as an entrepreneur. You know, my corporate days at Dell were great. They were very good to me. But I had no idea that the ability to build a business with no experience, build a brand new team, hire millions of dollars and to support your business could easily be attained just through networking. And these weren't very high level networking strategies. They're things that we all see around us every day. But it's just, I didn't realize that it's so easy to just make a minor tweak and use that to help grow and develop accordingly.
So what are you trying to achieve with this book?
Yeah, so I guess to kind of wrap up your last question, I'm obviously very passionate about what I do. I genuinely believe that anybody can do this. Anybody can achieve their goals, whether it is personally or professionally. And so I wanted to write the book just to show everybody. You don't have to be a business owner. You could have family goals. You could have, health and fitness goals, whatever it is, but you can accomplish it just by implementing my 5 networking systems.
That's awesome. So what makes you a networking guru over someone else?
So I have plenty of weaknesses. By no means am I perfect, but I do feel like a towering strength of mine is networking. And while I do believe that I was blessed with some amazing fundamental business skill sets and tools through my time at Dell, it still didn't teach me how to build relationships, build rapport, genuinely figure out how to help others, how to give back to the community, even how to build a team. I mean, for the 14 years that I was at Dell, I was always an individual contributor. I was never a manager of people. And so by working through my inner circle, building my outer circle, working with coaches and mentors, and not just one, multiple, I was able to really hone in on networking, and it just naturally rose to the top for me.
So let's talk about your transition from Dell to a full-time entrepreneur. You obviously did 10 flips. So at that point, were you like, hey, if I went full-time, I could live lifestyle by design?
Yeah, for me, what it really came down to is I had, at the moment that I built my team and I had about 3 projects in the pipeline, this was about 4, I think, or so months in to 2014. And I felt confident that with my knowledge, my mentors, my team, it wasn't me, it's my team that, is the reason why I'm here today, that I was comfortable leaving Dell, but I still had that traditional mindset. I wanted the security and stability, so I went ahead and I just tested everything a little bit more than I maybe needed to in that first year. And then it actually wasn't until a year and a half in, so it wasn't until May 29th of 2015 that I submitted my resignation letter to Dell.
Yeah, and that's cool. In the book, you actually, you have a copy of the email you sent out. It didn't look like you gave a 2-week notice.
I did give a 2-week notice.
It looks like it was the day that I read.
So I called up, my boss, Roman. I called him up like 2 or 3 months before, and we were kind of talking about it. So he was well aware of when I was going to resign. Okay. And then that email in the book was just my farewell email to the team.
Oh, okay. I was like, oh man, you left like 3 days later. That's awesome. So what makes your book so unique?
For those of you that know me, I'm very direct, very real, very raw. My husband, Sean, always jokes about how I don't sugarcoat, I don't dilly-dally. I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. And I'm not a professional author. English was never a strength of mine, nor was writing. You'll read about that in the book. But I write the way I speak, and I'm just very real and raw.
What marketing strategies do you find helpful?
Yeah, I think, so when it came to launching the book, I think one of the biggest things that we always hear about is social media. And again, when it comes to social media, there's a system for it, there's a strategy. And when I talk in my book about being very selective with who you choose to work with, be very selective with the team that you choose to build, that even starts with your virtual assistant. That starts with your social media manager. There are people out there who do this full time. And so I think regardless of any product or service that you're offering, when it comes to marketing, social media is going to probably be, in my opinion, number 1 up there somewhere. And then I have learned through my own business that just word of mouth. So again, networking, word of mouth, and referrals really goes a long way.
Yeah, I mean, I like in the book, you talk about like your doorman, for example. You have a relationship with the doorman here. You go to the bank, and instead of using the automated machines, you're marketing with or you're networking with a purpose. Literally, you'll go into the bank to talk to your banker just to make them aware of what you're doing. And then so that you're staying on top of mind when anybody is thinking about investing in real estate. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are two common examples I share. And another one is, I'm always hopping in a cab or taking an Uber. And so I genuinely care about people, yes. I'm interested to learn about what they're doing. But it's also, again, another great way for me to, in a very humbling way, highlight what it is that I'm doing. So one of the tips I share in my book, is, I'll purposely ask my Uber driver, oh, hey, how's it going? What do you do outside of Uber? Just so he reciprocates and asks me what I do for a living. And then I snap right into my 60-second elevator pitch for, whether it's building your team, raising money, whatever it is. And again, it's very subtle, high level, humbling, but it's just 24/7. I come across so many business owners and entrepreneurs who talk about, I went to my networking meeting, for the month, I've hit my goal. And I'm like, that's great. And that's a good start, but you're going to want to network at a minimum every week, if not every day, 24/7. There's an opportunity for you to network.
Yeah. I've really found in the real estate business, sometimes it's not what you know, it's who you know. And when you're networking and making people aware of what you're doing, opportunities then present themselves to you. Obviously, you still have to know what you're doing, but that saying is so true because I've had a lot of opportunities brought to me just simply because of people I've known. So the fact that you're out there every single day, and after I read the book, that's something that I realized I need to change my mindset. And how do I make this a practice every day? Because that's where I've seen some of the biggest leaps and bounds in my business personally. Yeah,
I would agree with you. And then just to kind of piggyback off of that really quickly, it's such a common saying that we hear, your net worth is your net worth, your net worth is your net worth. And I do believe in that. At the same time, what I write about in my book is just the opposite. It's your net worth is your network. So whether it's me or any of you or you, Josh, it's like, how can we provide valuable content to others and genuinely have a vested interest in helping others so that it's naturally going to circle back to us at the end of the day anyways. Absolutely. So that's kind of what I pride myself in, setting me apart from others, in my own backyard.
Yeah, I feel like today more than ever we're in what you would call like a giving economy. So when you're out there providing value for people 24/7, obviously not when you're necessarily sleeping, but through this book you will be, which is pretty cool, but always providing value that comes back. So are there any resources you would recommend to any aspiring authors?
Yeah, aspiring authors, business owners, anybody, even if you're just out there trying to launch a new product, service, or a project. For me, the most valuable lesson has been hiring coaches and mentors. And again, it's not just one. I have a life coach, a business coach, a personal therapist, multiple mentors and coaches within the real estate community, and then outside. So one of the things I talk about in my book is, hey, as an entrepreneur, let's say you do work in real estate, there's no need to limit yourself to networking with only real estate professionals. Every entrepreneur is had to build a team or raise money, for example. So networking outside of your industry is also going to help you achieve your goals. Because if those entrepreneurs who have also had to build a team and raise money can't help you, they're going to know somebody who can. I actually used you spoke at my meeting, I'd say maybe it had to be at least 2 years ago. Yeah. And from your presentation there, I implemented a lot of what you taught. And one of the things you taught was going to charitable events. I met a lender at one of my charitable events who then has referred me 4 lenders from him. And then also stepping outside of real estate as well, which is huge because, for example, I've gone to different stock trading events with like stockbrokers and people that are active traders. It's really interesting because a lot of traders want to know about real estate and a lot of real estate investors want to know about traders, but it's a great place to be because you're unique. Yeah. So I love the fact that you talk about that in your book, and I have implemented that
you didn't have the book out yet, but from your presentation you gave at my meeting.
Thank you.
So now, what can readers expect to get out of your book?
It's going to be just a lot of very easy systems that you can implement. There are 5 of them. And again, they can apply to either your personal or professional life. They're going to get me, raw, real, and just sharing my story, but in an effort to help motivate and inspire others.
You know, you talk about kind of your upbringing in the book, which is cool because you really give a background of what shaped you to be who you are today. So how is your environment and upbringing, how is that related to your writing?
I'm gonna cry. Okay, thank you for asking. I have a very unique family dynamic. My mom and her 2 sisters married my dad and his 2 brothers. So in my book, in chapters 1 and 2, I talk about how I was raised with 3 moms and 3 dads. And, you know, I call my aunts and uncles mom and dad on accident all the time. We're that close. So even though, you know, I talk about, sure, I may have been born networked, you know, I wasn't. It takes a village to build a network. But I share some of those personal stories about like my foundation, my family values, my belief systems in the traditional sense, how they used to be when it comes to education and working, and then how it's evolved over time. And, you know, there are a lot of people who I coach and mentor who get frustrated. They're aspiring business owners, and they're sick of all the negativity, all the naysayers, whether it's from their inner circle or outer circle, and I can relate to that. And, you know, in my book, I talk about ways that you can just let all of that negativity just go in one ear and out the other, and then you just stay focused on the end result, and through these networking systems I've created, you'll achieve those goals and then gain the support of others who maybe are doubtful.
Yeah, I really like the fact you brought up that point. In your book, you talk about it takes a village to raise a child. A lot of people are familiar with that saying, and I might not be saying it right, but you also talk in your book, it takes a village to raise an adult. So using that mentality, and what I mean by that is the village, meaning the people around you, can completely change your life, just making yourself, what you're doing, top of mind with them. That was a really powerful takeaway I had.
Thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
And also, you know, and obviously, you know, my family was the same way. Not necessarily that they were against you doing real estate, but I remember when I first started investing in real estate, my mom, she told me, I had a nightmare last night that you bought another house. So
I can relate. Mom and dad love you.
So even the people that love you, let's say you're trying to start a business or you're trying to start investing in real estate, sometimes the people that love you the most may give you advice that's not necessarily, they're looking at it from a different perspective.
It's coming from a place of care and love.
Correct.
Yeah, and you know, for those of you watching who, for example, if you're a business owner, whether it's in or outside of real estate, and if you're dealing with any negativity, you know, I get it. I've lost some of my best girlfriends, 2 actually that come to mind throughout this process, because I was genuinely so interested in like seeing them grow and evolve and change, and I was trying to push entrepreneurship onto them. They didn't want to hear it, you know. So I finally was like, I'm going to stop wasting my breath, stop trying to convince others to do something. If they're ready, they'll do it. And I talk about that in my book. You know, my family, they're amazing. They're all super supportive. You know, in my book, I start and end with a story about my dad. And my dad is one of my biggest cheerleaders. He can't talk about his daughter enough, and everyone's amazing now. In the beginning, there were challenges, there were conflicting opinions. But if you set your mind on something and you have a goal that you know you want and can't achieve, you'll get there. You just have to build your village, and that can be achieved through strategic networking.
Absolutely. One of the most powerful parts I read in the book wasn't necessarily a strategy, but it was because it seemed like your dad had some hesitation to you at the beginning, but then you got the phone call, right? And you were really nervous because you speak to your dad very frequently, but usually he talks to you through your mom's phone. So you were getting a phone call from your dad, and usually that means there's something wrong.
Yeah.
And then your dad being proud of you was powerful in the book, and yeah, I thought that was pretty awesome. So can you talk about that too? Like that was just I know that was a really special moment for you.
So, you know, again, my parents are my biggest advocates. My siblings, my cousins, my aunts and uncles. I feel, and you know, my dad's obviously not here to share a story, like he's just being protective. He was worried. You know, he had friends who had pursued entrepreneurship and they were not successful. Now here's his daughter who's trying to pursue it. And I talk in my book about how for the first 1.5 to 2 years, my dad didn't acknowledge what I was doing in real estate. He didn't want me to do it because he was scared I was not going to be successful. And every time my dad would call me and ask about work, he would ask me about Dell. How is Dell doing? What's up with Dell? And finally I was like, look, Dad, if you're going to ask me about work, then ask me about real estate. And I'll never forget, it was either a Monday or Tuesday night. I was at my aunt's house in the West Loop. My phone rang. It was my dad. It said, Dad, sell. And just as you were mentioning, it freaked me out. My dad and I talk every day, but it's always, you know, Mom who calls and then gives the phone to Dad. So I thought somebody had passed away or somebody was sick or there was an accident. But he had called me to tell me that that he was proud of me. He said, I'm proud of you. He said, I didn't think you could do it. And even through some of the tough times, which I believe it's the tough times that define people, my dad would call me and be like, you got this. Call me if you need any help. So just seeing his transformation from the beginning to today was really powerful and really means a lot to me.
Thank you so much for sharing your story. Thank you so much for writing this book. Again, it's a great book, quick read, but packed full of awesome information that you can implement, and it gives you a little bit of a mind shift, right? And how are you a little bit more strategic with your time, what you're doing? It just was a good reminder to me of things I should be doing, because the best things that have happened to me in my business has always come from my network. Whether you're in real estate or not, networking is huge. Even if you're looking for a new job, if you network and put that out there for people, opportunities will come. But if you never make people aware of your goals and your intentions, it'll never happen. So thank you so much, Amy, for writing this book. Again, you can visit networkingwithamy.com. So do you have any final thoughts, Amy?
Final thoughts, you know, just thank you to everyone who's been so supportive, you know, to me throughout this journey. This project was very challenging for me, for reasons that's a whole nother video. But again, you know, you guys know who you are. To those of you watching, thank you so much. It means a lot. And I'm always here for you guys as a resource. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me through social media, call me, email me, or check out, you know, my website, networkingwithamy.com.
Awesome. So again, thanks, Amy. Really appreciate it. Thanks for everything. Well, that was a lot of fun. Thanks.
We did it.
We did.
Thank you. That was so perfect. I really appreciate your help, and I think it went really well.
Yeah, me too. Let me know when you have your next book and we'll do it again.
I will. Thank you.
Okay,
see you soon. Hey, you guys. Thanks for stopping by. I had a great time sharing some of my strategic networking tips with you today. Remember to go to networkingwithamy.com to download your copy of my book, and I'll see you at the next video.